Hello there, good evening and welcome to Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. And coming up this evening, day one of EC's voter registration rocked by confusion and frustration owing to faulty registration kits and network challenges amidst accusations of foreigners seeking to get onto the electoral roll.
And we are here sitting, nothing is going on, and nobody's telling us anything. So why are we here in the first place? If you are not ready for the registration, tell us so that we'll all go home.
We came here since morning. We're standing outside. Some people were saying that the machines are faulty.
Well, we are live with our reporters across the country, plus speak to interested parties on the process so far. You can also let us know exactly what your experiences were if you were at the registration centers to register today. Also in the bulletin this evening, NPA hints of potential reduction in prices of LPG as it begins discussions with Finance Ministry for a possible removal of some levies.
The NPA, in collaboration with the Ministry of Energy and the Ministry of Finance, are having discussions to make sure that we reduce the taxes on LPG.
And later, leader and founder of the new force, Nana Kwame Bediako, launches an electronic fundraising platform to enable sympathizers contribute financially towards his 2024 campaign. He says this is to ensure transparency in political campaigning.
I would like to emulate the Western style and test it. In the times that I'm standing and running for president, I will not like to repeat the mistakes of our fathers, and I will not like to support corruption by going to people and paying them to vote for us.
We have details of these stories and more coming up shortly. Stay with us.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News. Informed, in depth, in touch.
Thank you so much for joining us on Starr today on Starr 103.5 FM. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah and welcome aboard Ghana's most comprehensive news analysis program, Starr today on Starr 103.5 FM. Tonight, as always, we're streaming live on Facebook, so you can find us on Facebook at Starr 103.5 FM. Do like it, share it, and make sure that you get others to also join in getting to know exactly the stories we'll be tackling this evening. And your thoughts, your comments, your views, and contributions are also very welcome on this platform via Facebook, also via WhatsApp at 0552 880 216. Let's get into the details of the stories. And tonight we're starting with the EC's limited voter registration exercise, because what we do know is that there was confusion and frustration at the former headquarters of the Electoral Commission as scores of eligible applicants were left stranded due to faulty registration kits and network challenges. The process hit a snag as no single person had been registered in the Ayawaso West Wagon, Ayawaso Central, Kwale Klote, Ayawaso East and Ayawaso North districts as of midday. Obed King Gaglo visited some registration centers and has more in the following.
Confusion and fisticuffs best describes the situation here at the former headquarters of the Electoral Commission on the first day of the limited voter registration exercise, as party agents of both the governing MPP and the opposition NDC argued and traded insults over the eligibility of some applicants.
But the issue happening now has to do with the queuing and the people they are bringing from elsewhere to come and register within the constituency. Previously, we had this experience of people coming from a different country, even outside the Greater Accra, to come and register, and which is of a concern to both parties. But I think they are still not adhering to that advice and principle not to bring anyone from outside the country. So we are also trying to stop that from happening.
Beyond the confusion, network issues and defective registration kits left applicants stranded. As of the time of filing this report at about 2 p.m., not a single person had been registered.
I've been here since 7 a.m. and it was running smoothly, right? They already told us that process 4 people. Then all of a sudden, they said the machines are not working, right? So they just came, nothing, no communication. We've just been sitting here since 7. So now that these people are here causing commotion for no reason.
We came here since morning. We're standing outside. When we came inside, some people were saying that the machines are faulty. But some people also were saying that they intentionally off the machines for their advantage. I don't know what that is about.
Deputy Communications Officer of the NDC, Godwin Akugan, who visited the registration center, called out the Electoral Commission regarding the undue delays and frustration that has characterized the exercise in the Tema and Ashaiman metropolis was no different. Applicants held their spots with bated breath, waiting for the defective kits to be restored.
We've been here since morning, not even one person has been registered. And we are here sitting, nothing is going on. And nobody is telling us anything. So why are we here in the first place? If you are not ready for the registration, tell us so that we'll all go home.
I came here early in the morning expecting that at least by 10 I'm out of here because I have work to do. I'm a journalist personally. Then I came here and then due to network connection, not even a single person has been registered. Because of that, I'm very delayed in work and then my boss is even very affecting me today. And then I'm discouraged because I feel like my first time should be a nice experience and then encourage people. But this current condition is not encouraging at all.
According to reports, the registration delays extend beyond these specific districts, indicating a national problem that threatens to impede the registration process. This setback comes at a blow to the Electoral Commission's efforts to conduct a smooth and efficient registration exercise aimed at enrolling 623,000 first-time voters nationwide. Obed Kingaglo for GH1 News.
Well, so that was the situation here in Accra, but let's find out the situation in other parts of the country. Unfortunately, we have Isaac Justice Bediako, a man in the Ashanti region, has joined me on the phone line to tell us exactly how day one of the exercise went. Bediako, so in Accra, it was dogged by a lot of delays as a result of faulty kits, among others. What was the situation in the Ashanti regional capital today?
Well, I must say that in the Ashanti region, the situation was the same, as you rightly said, in Accra. People went to the various registration centers around 7 a.m. Some even came there as early as 5 a.m. Unfortunately, at the time that the EC was supposed to start the registration in the morning, the systems were not functioning, and so they had to do only manual registration exercise. So around 12 p.m., that was when the systems started working. And so they started doing the registration. And as I speak with you, the checks I have done from the Inshaiso Registration Center, so that they've not even registered more than 60 people biometrically. It's only the manual registration that they have been able to do more than 60 people. And so those people that have not been covered biometrically, what is going to happen is that they will go home and come tomorrow to come and do the registration. So that has been the general situation across the various registration centers in the Ashanti region. And I must say that the public participation and stakeholders is very huge, because where I went to the Kumasi Metro Registration Center, that is the EC's regional headquarters, they have 4 centers. namely Menshia South constituency, Menshia North constituency, Ishaesu constituency, and Bantaman constituency, Subi. That's where they are doing their registration exercise. And you see the political parties, NDC and the MPP, bouncing people to the centers. And the explanation they have given is that they are stakeholders in the upcoming elections and the exercise. And so they need to help the EC to get more people on board to come and do the registration. So they came in with buses, they made provision. Even the tents that the people are sitting under at the registration center was brought by the MPP Sheresu constituency chairman, Jokad. He paid for that because EC has not made provisions for that. And so looking at the struggle of the people standing in the scorching sun, he has to make those provisions to support the exercise. But apart from that, they've also made water provisions there. They're also giving the people food to eat to support the exercise. So public participation so far as this exercise is concerned is very huge. Just that they were disappointed because the EC did not walk the talk by starting the exercise on time because of the malfunctioning of their equipment at that particular center across the region.
Right. So, what has been the reaction in terms of how people who went there to register and had to go through all of this? What was their reaction?
Well, people were disappointed because that was not the impression the EC created. All the public announcements, TV, radio that they made people know that they are ready for the exercise. And so coming there and they are telling you the systems are not working, they became very stranded, disappointed because those who came early at other engagements, so they wanted to participate in the registration exercise and go back. Unfortunately, that did not happen. There are students, final year students on campus, so they rush there early in the morning to come and do the registration exercise and go back to their various campuses to go and continue their studying. But unfortunately, that was what they met at the center. So people were left disappointed. And the political parties in particular, they have masked people, they are giving the people food and water. They are paying drivers to bring them. And so bringing them in today and they could not do the registration, it means that you have to take them back and bring them tomorrow. So they were also equally disappointed in the exercise. But they are hoping that once it is 21 days exercise, the hope is that things will improve much better from tomorrow going.
Very well. Bediakon, thank you so much for giving us updates from the Ashanti region. That's Isaac Justice Bediakon giving us exactly what happened today in the Ashanti region. But we understand the situation is quite similar in other parts of the country. So let me know where you are currently and what the situation was for you if you were able to partake in the exercise at any of the registration centers. Let me know what you had to go through and what the challenges were for you. If you were also able to successfully register completely, get your biometrics done and all of that, I would like to know via Facebook at Starr 103.5 FM, or you can also join us via 0552 880 That's WhatsApp. But let's go to the Volta region of Ghana. Faisal Abdul is there for us, and he's joined us on the full noise now. So, Faisal, what can you tell me from the Volta region? Is it a situation of delayed registration, as is the case in the Greater Accra and the Ashanti regions?
Absolutely, Joshua. So as at 7 a.m. this morning, I was at the district registration center in Akachino, Aveda Catholic Society. And at that early morning, people had arrived. Applicants had arrived that morning to register. And then registration officials were also there. But then when I left, a few minutes later, they called to inform me that the machines were not working at the time, and so nobody was registered. As at 11 to 12, not even a single person was registered at the center there. I returned there around 3:15, and only 7 people have been registered at the time. I was in Kittisav throughout the morning. Nobody was registered until 1:18, when the first 3 people were registered. Checks I've made across the various centers in the region also indicated that up until somewhere around 2, 1, 3 thereabouts at the various registration centers, nobody was registered until that late noon. And so it's been a very bad day for the one here in the Volta region. But then this evening, they started registering people. So the expectation is that tomorrow, the registration will begin in full.
And Faisal, what reasons were given basically for why we are not seeing the registration kickstart at the time it was supposed to start, and why people did not get registered throughout the day till in the evening?
EC officials will not speak to us, but I'm aware they were speaking to the political parties. The political parties have monitors across centers, and they were speaking to them. Even a few minutes ago, we attempted speaking to the electoral commission in Akachinov, and they told us they were busy, they couldn't speak to us. So they wouldn't tell us exactly what the problem was in the morning. But like I said, registration has resumed, though late, this afternoon.
Very well. Thank you so much, Faisal, for bringing us updates from the Volta region, where we are told that registration did not also begin on time. In fact, throughout the day, even in the afternoon, we did not have this happening. But let's find out from the political parties. And let's start off. Okay, well, we'll try and get James Gunu. He's the Volta Regional Secretary of the NDC, and he has joined us on the phone lines to let us know exactly what his observation was today. Mr. Gunu, thank you. Okay, well, I think we lost James. Let's try. Producers, let's try and get James Gunu back on the phone line so that we have a proper appreciation of what he was able to also observe as a result of today's EC voter registration exercise, day one. We are told that a lot of people could not be able to get their registration done as a result of other issues, electronic issues, also challenges with EC officials not starting on time, and all of that. And that's what is the situation is. James Gunu has joined us on the phone lines now. Mr. Gunu, thank you so much for your time this evening. So we understand that registration for most parts in the region did not start on time, and some had to start late afternoon. Is that the observation that you also made?
Exactly so. And all the centers across the region, the registration exercise started late afternoon. In the morning, I went to Akimezopi, where I even met a nursing mother who had traveled from Agosima Wudome to the center since 7 a.m. And as at 9 to 10 a.m., she was still there, unattended to. Then from there, I went to Akachinov. At Akachinov, the network was not working. No registration was going on. From Akachinov, I went to Ketunov. The situation was the same. I proceeded to Ketu South. It was terrible. The first person got registered around 2 p.m. Then from Ketu South, I went to Akachi South. At Akachi South, the EC district office was deserted. The people had left because nobody was attending to them. And when they got to the town, they informed everybody who asked them about the exercise, and they told the people that since morning the machines were not functioning. So that discouraged a number of people from coming to the center.
So for that particular center, it was as a result of the machines not functioning since morning.
Exactly. The machines were not functioning. The network was not there for the registration exercise to go on.
Even though the officials were there?
Even though the officials were there, the EC district officer was there. In all, I visited 7 district offices out of the 18 district offices that we have. And other hard to reach registration centers were the same. In fact, in all, the EC is supposed to use 27 centers across the region out of the 83 centers. I mean, as for the hard to reach centers, they are supposed to move from one area to the other after every 2 days. So the situation cuts across the region. So we asked the EC officials what exactly was happening, because initially we knew that if they are facing challenges with network, they could switch to offline registration. But we were told that they are going strictly online. So that is the situation in the region. We are almost about to close for the first day. And I tell you that some places it's still rain. Everything was in a very as if on the
Well, Mr. Gunu, we are losing you. James, we are losing you. If you could just reposition for me, I will be really glad. I'll be really glad if you could just reposition for me so that we can hear you clearly. So you're telling us that in some areas, in fact, it actually rained and people were not able to get registered as a result of network challenges and all of that. But what assurances did the EC give you in the coming days? Hello, James, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Great. So I'm asking what assurances the Electoral Commission officers gave you that would happen in the coming days. What did they say they would put in place to ensure that we have a smooth process going forward? Hello? Well, I think the line is very bad, so we'll have to call James Gunu back. Producers, please call James Gunu back so that we can have that conversation, because if it's quite clear that his line is terrible, it's very difficult to hear him. But largely, the point is that he also visited some centers, and the situation of network challenges, I mean, that was very rife in those centers that he also visited. So we'll get to understand what the way forward would be as communicated to him by the Electoral Commission officers. Then we'll also check with some other stakeholders, the NPP also, on the observation of day one of the registration exercise. Then there's also the conversation about the political parties busing people, busing individuals, providing breakfast and lunch for them to be registered. Exactly what is happening here, because we've had conversations surrounding foreigners also getting on the electoral roll, and sometimes we are told that these foreigners are persons brought in by the political parties to register. We'll get into that conversation when we have James back on the phone lines, and also engage the Director of Elections for the NPP, Evans Nimakon, on this particular development. This is Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. You can also join us via our Facebook live stream on Facebook at Starr 1035 FM. Also, send your thoughts and comments to our WhatsApp number 0552-880216 so that we can have that conversation also going for you. Right, so James Gunu has joined us on the phone lines again. Mr. Gunu, if you can hear me better now.
I was saying that when I got to Akachi Town,
right,
it rained there, but the people who came in the morning and were not attended to had gone to share that with the community. So that actually discouraged a lot of people from coming to the center for the registration. Now the EC is saying that they are only hoping that tomorrow the situation improves so that they can register the people. So we are also hoping and praying that, yes, but who has control over this network? Who is controlling it? I mean, is the EC not aware of these challenges and could factor them into their planning so that people wouldn't come to the centers only from morning to afternoon, spend transportation cost that is very high these days. Some hungry, and like I said earlier, I went to Agotime Jopi district office where a nursing mother with a 5-month old baby crying in the hand of the mother from morning to afternoon. And had it not been God, she would have gone home without being attended to. But when you go to the centers too, one thing I observed was that heavy police presence in Agotime Jopi Center alone, I could count about 11 police officers. When I got to Ketu South, there were more than 20 police officers at one center. What actually is happening? And over there at Ketu South, the registration center, every registrant that came there in the afternoon when the machine started working, they were all challenged by the MPP agent over there that they were not Ghanaian, including one chief, including a chief from Denu, a chief from Denu, Aveji,
but
challenged.
Right, but there are processes for proving the legibility of persons who seek to get that done.
But there are processes, but the process should not be abused.
So you feel the MPP is abusing that process of challenging the eligibility of people in the voter region, and they are doing that deliberately?
They are abusing that process, and we know that, one, they've been paying their agents based on number of persons they challenge. So it's a deliberate attempt to intimidate people from registering. So when you go there and they challenge you, and it comes to the district registration review committee meeting, some people do not turn out. They come to the committee meeting because they don't have money to travel long distances to the meeting. And then they will say that they are not eligible to vote. That is what is happening. That is what is happening. And we are not happy with this situation. The Electoral Commission must come out clearly, because we have only 21 days to do this exercise. If the people are not registered, they cannot vote. They cannot vote.
And you believe the challenge process would delay the ability of these persons to actually get registered onto the electoral roll?
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely. And you know that when the people turn out at the registration centers, some, they are intimidated by the heavy presence of these police officers. Two, then some unnecessary questions are being asked. Some questions like, where do you come from? Are you a Ghanaian? And all those things. I mean, for Christ's sake, this chief, Togbi Ado, the fourth chief of Denu Aveji, was dressed in his regalia, but they challenge him that he's not a Ghanaian. How?
Right.
So these MPP people are abusing the challenge process, and the Electoral Commission is not also helping the situation. It's an attempt, a deliberate attempt to suppress the vote in the voter region.
Okay.
Two, it is also appearing as if the MPP has budgeted for some number of people that they can buy to vote for them. So they don't want, the voter population to increase because.
But James, these are mere allegations you're making.
I mean, then why are they doing this thing?
Right.
So if it happens that tomorrow the situation continue up to the 27th of this month, what are they going to do? And we are in a rainy season. We are in a farming season. People will abandon their work, their farms, and then move to registration centers, and then they will not get registered.
Okay.
They have to go home and come the following day. They are not registered. What kind of frustration is that?
Very well. Now,
the democracy goes with a lot of responsibilities, and the EC must facilitate this process very well so that everybody will feel, happy and have the confidence in the process, because the electoral process is as important as the election itself. The electoral process is as important as the election itself. So if you are doing this thing and you are talking about challenges, okay, in this process, you have some number of days that you can correct certain things. But on the day of election, it's just one day. The election is just a day.
Okay.
What time will you correct these things? Look at how they messed up the district election. Are they trying to do the same thing during the general election? That will be too expensive.
Right.
That will be too expensive for this country and the electoral commission.
Very well. Well, James, thank you. It's day one, and we are hoping that things pick up in the coming days, and we'll definitely come back to you and see how things turn around, if they actually do, from tomorrow. But thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
So that's James Gunu. He is the Volta Regional Secretary of the NDC, speaking to us on this matter, giving us the NDC's perspective, talking about the attempts by the MPP, as it were, in the Volta region to intimidate prospective registrants. But let's also get to the camp of the NPP and find out exactly what their assessment of the process has been so far. Evans Nimako is in charge of elections for the NPP. He's the director, and he has joined us on the phone lines now. Mr. Nimako, thank you so much for your time this evening. So today is day one of the registration exercise, and I'm sure that you have taken a keen interest in how the process goes. What has been your assessment so far?
Well, good evening. Thank you for having me. Day one of the 21-day registration exercise has not been that smooth. Reports coming from our monitors across the voting registration centers has been the challenge that the BVI kit has been having. And so today hasn't been that successful. We're hoping that going to the days ahead, the EC will put in place the appropriate mechanism to ensure that their machines and the IT infrastructure will help to make sure that all those who are supposed to register will have the opportunity to have their names enroll onto the electoral roll.
So you have heard from your men on the grounds telling you all of these challenges. As a party, what exactly does it put you? How does it make you feel?
Well, people have spent their time to visit registration centers at the district offices, the difficult to reach electoral areas, and these 25 tertiary institutions. Time have been spent. We have put in resources to ensure that our officers and agents will monitor the exercise. It's been a cost, but my brother, this is a 21-day exercise. We're hoping that the days ahead we will overcome these challenges. But it is for the EC to ensure that a system works to perfection.
Right. So as it stands now, is it a matter of you being confident that in the coming days the EC will be able to address the concerns and then we'll have a smooth process? Are you confident about that?
It's not an issue of being confident. It's an issue of the EC ensuring that all those who have to be registered get registered. If you've monitored registration exercise over the years, we've not been able to come out of these challenges. Normally, the one of the exercise will come out with its own challenges, but that is not what we are looking for. We want the EC to ensure that its machines and infrastructure get to work, so that people who have traveled to get to the registration centers will have their objectives achieved. They want to be registered, so they should have the opportunity to do so.
And so far, have you heard from the EC as political parties? Has the EC made any reasons or given you any reasons why we're experiencing this and what mechanisms they are putting in place?
Well, I've seen a circular from the EC. I'm not aware they've written officially to the General Secretary, my General Secretary, so I cannot speak to that for now. But I've seen their communication expressing the challenges their IT infrastructure having experienced. But it's important that they work overnight to ensure that we do not go through these challenges going forward.
And going forward, there have also been concerns, especially in the Volta region. The NDC has raised issues of the NPP agents there deliberately using the challenge procedure to challenge almost anybody who they believe is from the camp of the NDC. Have you heard of these things?
My brother, do you have your correspondence across the registration centers? I really hesitate to discuss issues like this when it is coming from the NDC.
Well, I'm speaking to you based on what we have picked up from at least Agotimes Yopi in the Volta region. That's the challenge we are hearing from that place. Our correspondent is also on the ground.
How many people were registered and how many of them were challenges and what were the basis for those challenges? I think we should help ourselves. It cannot just be the usual issues that are thrown out and there are no basis. If people are being challenged, what are the basis for the challenge? Let us get this information to help with the conversation.
Well, we are told that the bases basically are that they have concerns about the people not being Ghanaians, and then there's been some challenge. And I put the question that if that's the case, it's allowed in law. There are processes that are actually to be able to address these issues. But I'm asking that from your perspective, have you also heard of things like this?
Not for now, please.
Very well. Evans, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm sure that from tomorrow we'll be getting more from you as the process also progresses. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you, I'm on standby. All the best.
Definitely. That's Evans Nimakon. He's the Director of Elections for the New Patriotic Party. And of course, day one of the registration process, and you understand why the political parties do have an interest in this, because it tells us what is going to happen, or it tells us what to expect in the 2024 general elections. But let's speak to some observers who have also been on the grounds and getting to see what is happening. We've been joined on the phone lines now by Gilfred Isiama. He is also a research analyst at CDD Ghana. They've also been doing some observation of the process so far. Gilfred, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So we know Kodjo did some deployments. You have men on the grounds that are assessing the registration process. This morning, all through till now, we've heard of delay, and it seems to run across almost all the regions. Is that something that you've also picked up, and how worrying is that situation?
Yes, I want to confirm that through Kodjo's observation across the country, we have received reports of network challenges, which comes by way of either activation code that people are seeking from the headquarters of the Electoral Commission, or whether they are facing internet challenges or general network challenges. So we have recorded incidents across the country from all the observers that Kodjo has deployed to observe some of these issues.
And looking at the issues, the network challenges, internet challenges and all of that, has the EC given any indication? I mean, since you have also been observing, have you received any indication as to what is causing this and how soon it can be rectified?
Well, we are still in the process of collating the incident that Kodjo observers have sent to Kodjo's data center during the period. We are yet to formally communicate any of our findings either to the general public or to the Electoral Commission. And then once we are able to share our findings, we hope they will come up with some concrete solutions. Because when you look at some of the movement areas that the Electoral Commission is doing this limited registration exercise where they call the hard-to-reach areas. The Commission is doing these exercises for a period of 2 days. So when it happens that you have about like 25% or even sometimes 40% of the time allocated for this period, the Commission could not carry out the registration, then that is worrying. One particular case, Swaman in Western North, specifically one area that the registration is taking place, Fanoman or so, DA Primary School. We had only one person register the entire day because the network, they faced network challenges, they also were facing power challenges, and when they managed to fix it, there was only one person who could register as at 4 before it started to rain in that zone, and the Commission has just closed. And they have only 2 days to do this registration, and this is something that is worrying. Beyond that, I think it's a widespread challenge, and we need the Commission to come out clearly on plans to solve this issue and how to make amends so that people, the franchise of people, will not be disregarded through some of these network and technical challenges that we are facing.
And so what would be some recommendations that would have to take serious going forward?
Well, I must be cautious at this time to be making some recommendations for the Electoral Commission, but clearly, when you look at the widespread nature of the network challenges, it paints a picture that either the process of ensuring that either the test run, there could be some issues with the test run. Did we get close to the place that these machines were going to work to test whether the machines would work on the day of registration? It's a question that we cannot ask. So can the EC, or if the EC had decentralized the process of activating the code for the BVR kit, whether these issues of people waiting for activation code would have happened. So I think there are a lot of questions to ask at this time, and through the process of observation, we will be able to come out with concrete recommendations for the Electoral Commission to fix ahead of the 2020 general election.
The 2024 elections, you mean?
2024 general election, sorry.
All right, thank you so much, Gilfred. And we'll be getting back to you in the coming days so that we can also get Kodjo's assessment. We'll also be waiting for the collation of your figures and what the recommendations would be for the EC going forward. But thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So that's Gilfred Isiama. Now, let me also interestingly bring you a statement released by the NDC in the Eastern region on the exercise, as we also connect to some other parts of the regions and get you more on this particular exercise. And this is signed by the Eastern Regional Secretary of the NDC, Jamal Kone. He says the EC's approach to this year's limited registration exercise in the Eastern region is a lazy man's approach and must be a worry to all stakeholders. Almost all the constituencies were not able to start registration today, the 7th of May, 2024, at the time given by the EC itself. As at 1 p.m. on the first registration day, about 95% of constituencies in the Eastern region had not started the exercise due to challenges best known to the EC alone. This is a clear sign of the incompetent technical team of the EC, who are substandard and cannot manage a transparent and incident-free election process. So that's what the NDC in the Eastern region is also saying. Let me go to the Northern region, where my man Noah Nash has been monitoring events there. Noah, thank you so much for your time. What can you tell us from the Northern region? Hello, Noah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Fantastic. So how has the process been in the Northern region?
I would say that the process wasn't that smooth in the early hours of the morning up to, let's say, 11:30 to 12, when we noticed that the system was not up. And the political parties have actually brought their own people. I mean, I wouldn't call it busing of the people. They brought them, they formed their own queues. There's a queue for this group, there's a queue for that group. And they understood themselves, so they were actually doing their own thing. But because the system was up in the morning, it was quite a bit not funny because people were actually busy. So when the system came up, that was where the confusion arrived. Because it was around 1 o'clock when the system was up that people were agitating that sitting there for a long time. The party agents were also challenging minors, arguing among themselves. Very chaotic, especially at 15 and other places within the metropolis, where apparently most of them understood themselves were arguing among themselves. Quite very heavy.
Quite interesting. So, talking about the political parties, I'm sure they were also very much at the scenes. And what really was their feedback to the challenges that were experienced at the various centers?
In the morning, the issue of that were monitored were actually explained that it's a nationwide exercise that was having a challenge technically, so to be patient. So in that vein, it wasn't a problem for most of the political party agents and even the political heads, even including the mayor and other security top agencies and government officials that visited the place. It wasn't really a problem for them. When the system came up was where the agitations and the pressures were mounted on the EC officials. I must be honest with you. I commend the police service for being in their numbers at the various polling stations, as if they knew that there would be problems. So they doubled them at all the polling stations that we visited. At least 3 of them. Tamale, which is where they were having it, was sitting. The other one was at the stadium, which is the Sanargu one. And then the north one was also at the other side. So it was quite a very hectic one for them. As I speak to you now, most of the young ones are still in queue, waiting to be given the opportunity.
Well, quite a worrying situation there, but we hope that in the coming days, the EC would put in place some mechanisms to ensure that we do not see this happening. But Noah, thank you so much for your time this evening. So that's our Northern Regional Correspondent, Noah Nash, bringing us updates on the limited registration exercise by the Electoral Commission in various parts of the country. You heard Noah from the Northern region. We also heard from the Volta region, the Ashanti region, as well as the Eastern region. Well, you can also share your experiences with us via Facebook because you're streaming live there. Let me know exactly what your experiences were when you also went to find out if you could register to be on the voter roll for the 2024 general elections. It's still election period and there are a lot of activities happening. Well, let me take you from the camp. Let me take you now to the camp of the New Force, because leader and founder of the New Force, Nana Kwame Bediakon, has launched an electronic fundraising platform to enable sympathizers contribute financially towards the 2024 campaign. Now, speaking during the launch, he emphasized that the Save Ghana Fund is a step by the force to bring transparency to the funding of political campaigns, adding that a contribution to the platform is a partnership to capture power to transform the country.
The Save Ghana Fund is a crowdfunding initiative by the New Force to mobilize the needed financial resources for a successful campaign ahead of the 2024 general elections. Beyond political financing, the project aims at redefining the dynamics of governance and promoting inclusivity, transparency, and accountability.
I would like to emulate the Western style and test it. In the times that I'm standing and running for president, I would not like to repeat the mistakes of our fathers, and I would not like to support corruption by going to people and paying them to vote for us. I want you to donate to us, and I still want you to have a choice of whoever you want to vote for. But please, not because you've been given money. Just remember, because you have committed your investment, your commitment into the country, into the leadership of the country and the governance of the country.
Making an initial donation of 500,000 Ghana cedis, Nana Kwame Bediakon emphasized that every donation to the Save Ghana Fund will be accounted for. This, he says, is a reflection of his dedication to good governance and accountability.
What I'm saying is that I have started by sowing a seed into my country and the people. This movement is of a positive, genuine intentions to make a change in our country. And my first contribution is 500,000 Ghana cedis, but this won't be my last either. And as you've already seen, all the investment that has gone in already was not because I'm looking for something for myself. It's because I want to change something for ourselves.
To donate to the crowdfunding platform, Ghanaians are expected to dial *887*2024# on all networks or visit the website www.nkb.com.gh.
Well, so that's Obed Kingaglow's report on the crowdfunding that has been launched by the leader and founder of the new force, Nana Kwame Bediako. You're still listening to Star today on Star 103.5 FM. We have more stories for you right after this.
Star today, first, fast, and credible.
Star News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA, also live on Facebook on Star 1035 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Star 103.5 FM. Star News. Informed, in depth, in touch.
You're still listening to Star today here on Star 103.5 FM, your most topical news analysis program on radio every weekday. But let's do some other stories. Now, in private investigator has petitioned the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice charge over alleged conflict of interest against senior customs officer Augustine Atta Edubofor in the case of a missing vehicle, his alleged involvement in cold storage business, among others. So we'll shortly be getting to the phone lines to get to speak to the lead investigator, Lawal La Fusheni, who petitioned charge over this particular matter. And he believes that a lot of wrong has gone done by the GRA and there's some cover-up. He's alleging of a cover-up, for which reason he has petitioned the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice to look into the matter. And as and when we are able to raise him, we'll have that conversation. But if you are a user of LPG, one of the things you would be concerned about is the recent increase. So for those who fill the 14 kg cylinder for about 250 cedis, now you have to cough up around 305 cedis to fill that particular 14 kg. Well, the National Petroleum Authority has hinted at a potential reduction of certain taxes on liquefied petroleum gas LPG. It follows demands by consumers and sector players for removal of the levies to tackle high cost of LPG. Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the NPA, Linda Sante, gave the hint during a town hall meeting in Tamale on the cylinder recirculation module. According to her, there are ongoing discussions with the Ministries of Energy and Finance to lower LPG prices in response to industry demand.
We all can attest to the fact that climate change has come so close, the weather patterns are changing, there are high temperatures all over, so we can't do anything than just to make sure that we all embrace cylinder recirculation model. For the price of LPG, like I said in my speech, the NPA, in collaboration with the Ministry of Energy and the Ministry of Finance, are having discussions to make sure that we reduce the taxes on LPG. In addition to that, even before the reduction of the taxes, NPA has gone ahead to have a tender which has reduced the supplier's premium of LPGs that are imported into the country. Although we have a local refinery and we have Ghana National Gas that produces gas, the price is always pegged to the international market. So the most important thing that we have been able to achieve now is to make sure that the cost of CRM, the policy doesn't increase the price of getting access to LPG. And then we have various sizes of the cylinders. We have 3 kg, we have 6 kg, we have 12.5, and it goes up there. So you can buy any size you want. I'm sure 3 kg, it will be the same as wanting to buy a tot. And if you want to buy a tot, that avenue is also available.
So you heard Linda Sante from the NPA speaking on that matter. We'll have a conversation on that as and when we are able to raise Gabriel Kumi, who is with the LPG sellers or retailers. We will get to speak to him on this particular development. But Labour analyst Austin Game has attributed the increased cases of foreign firms withdrawing their businesses in the country to what he says is the haphazard management of the economy. Now, a number of multinational firms have exited the country, with French bank Société Générale serving notice of its intention to exit the market. But speaking at a forum, Speaking at a forum by the Center for Ethical Governance and Administration on the business and economic impact of the opposition NDC's 24-hour economic policy, Austin Game insinuates the country's current economic structure does not encourage growth.
The present state of our economic situation clearly is almost meaningless. It has no foundation. That is why everything is being done, let me use my old mother's language, by heart. It's a kind of by heart economic system we are practicing. In fact, for the 17th time we have been to the IMF is because we are practicing a model that will never work. And I assure you, it will never work. Even if NDC come to practice the same thing, it will not work today, it won't work tomorrow. So take note. We have to have a complete paradigm shift. And a shift do not place you back to where you are. You have to move. And that move must be structured properly. So the structure, the competencies that are required, and the culture of this nation will have to change. And that is the reason why we must have a 24-hour economy. Now, presently, we all know the impact of the exchange rate already. My brother and Professor Lord Mensah already spoken to you about it. The inflation, we all know what it is. The numerous taxes that we are confronted with, we all know about it. We all know that we owe so much. Officially, we can talk about we are 73% to the GDP, but we have let down. We suspended payment of our debts, almost about 34 billion. If you pay two of your debt, we will all sleep in the sea tonight because you cannot afford it. That will gallop the inflation to where it should be appropriately. So for now, we have suspended our activities as a nation, and we are deliberately just doing political economy management. And so we must change our way of doing things. Like I said, because of time, today you are aware that companies are leaving the country. Why are they leaving the country? Because you are practicing a system that will not enable business to thrive. That's just as simple as that. You don't need to be an economist to understand this.
So that's Labour consultant Austin Game there. Now, reacting to the same issue, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etiahene has described the planned exit of Societe Generale from Ghana as a significant indicator that the country's banking sector is in full-fledged crisis. Now, despite claims by government officials that the banking sector is robust because of the 2018 banking sector cleanup, Dr. Etiahene thinks otherwise. Now, according to him, most financial institutions, particularly indigenous ones, are struggling due to the current economic challenges. He spoke on State of Affairs on GH1 TV.
Since 2014, our non-performing asset ratio total to the asset has hovered between 11% and 24.9% as at December 2023. Well, if you use this to test the resilience of the sector, it is a complete not resilient. Because there is a literature written by IMF staff, Detmar Kuntz versus Dietrich in 1998. He says that in the banking sector that has more than 10% non-performing can be described as a fully fledged banking distress or crisis. And consistently, we have come from 11 up to 24, averaging 16.97%. So when people talk about this resilience, one measure of your resilience is about your non-performing, because it has impact on your solvency. There is a correlation between your non-performing. The bigger your non-performing, the worse your solvency rate is. Unfortunately, this is what has happened to some of the banks. The best thing we have to do is that we need to look at the bank strategy to help them to grow. But also basing them on a good corporate governance systems and robust risk management systems and effective monitoring systems. So that, and they should have independent board members who would think clearly and not people who go to sit on the board and they will tell you, as the chairman was saying, they themselves don't have anything to say. Everybody sing the chorus after the chairman. And that is what the problem of the state bank is. Because I am a corporate governance specialist who have treated some of the banks, and that is what I have seen.
Banking consultant Dr. Richmond Tiahene. Now, let's remain with the issue of the 24-hour economy. And former Director General of this CID, COP retired Bright Odro says 25,000 more police officers will be required for the smooth implementation of the proposed 24-hour economy.
Police roles will expand in order to cope with the expected increase in crime resulting from increased business transactions and service deliveries around the clock. What about the police manpower strength and logistics? Of course, we need to expand. Under the policy, police need to expand patrol, and police need to expand its operations, and therefore, its overall strength has to increase in order to be visible in the active business and work environment, and also on the streets and on the roads and highways. And therefore, we will require massive recruitment effort that will potentially bring the police population ratio, which is now about 1 to 800, one policeman to 800 citizens, to 1 to 500, or even better. Even better, I mean 1 to 400, 1 to 300, better. An additional massive recruitment of about 25,000 police personnel will be needed to top up the present police strength of about 42,000 and to make up the UN minimum ratio of 1 to 500. So the UN minimum ratio of police to population is 1 to 500. And if the police population is about 42,000, we will need to make about 67,000 police officers. And that means we have to recruit 25,000 officers to be able to police every corner of Ghana and make sure that the policy runs successfully.
Well, let's go back to our earlier story on a private investigator petitioning Shraj and over alleged conflict of interest against senior customs officer. Well, we'll be getting to that shortly, but let's talk about the issues of LPG and matters arising. We are told that the NPA has hinted at a potential reduction of certain taxes on LPG owing to the price hikes over the last couple of weeks. But let's get to the phone lines and speak to Vice Chairman of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana, Gabriel Kumi. Mr. Kumi, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you for having me.
So how do you welcome this news, especially when you have been on the authority to scrap the $80 metric ton levy on the bottling plant and cylinder investment margin?
We have been very consistent on the call for the removal of taxes on LPG. In fact, over the past 7 years, we have been very, very persistent and consistent that it doesn't make sense to put taxes on LPG because this is a product that your neighboring countries like Cote d'Ivoire are subsidizing. But in Ghana, we are not even buying LPG at cost. We have put almost 20% levies and taxes on the product. And as if that's not enough, we continue to pile up the taxes. And we believe that is not the way to go. But we are quite surprised at the statement issued by MPA.
What is surprising about it?
Yes, because as the Deputy Chief Executive of MPA, my sister Linda knows that not until we are off the IMF program, there is no way we can remove taxes from LPG. Because even on the 1st of April, they removed 14 pesos. That was the price stabilization levy. On the 1st of April, they removed it. But we were shipped in line to replace that in 24 hours. And we went back and replaced the levy we had removed. So I'm surprised that he's talking about this time. Because we have been doing this before we even went to IMF. Now with IMF conditionalities, as the chief executive, the deputy chief executive of NPA, we expect her to know that we cannot take the taxes from LPG now, not until we are off IMF program. Secondly, that is why we are shocked that we keep piling levies and margins on the product. On the 1st of April, we received a letter from MPA communicating to industry that they are slapping $80 per metric ton on LPG. And that has shot up the pump price of LPG by 1 cedi 20 pesos. It shot it up from 14 cedis to about 16 cedis, about 7.5% increase. We have been calling for removal of the existing ones. So how come you are now adding on? The consumption of LPG since 2020-2021 has taken a nosedive. In 2022, we went down in consumption by 22%, by 12% in 2022. Since 2021, we have been going down. And at the pump price of 16 cedis per kilo, there is no way we can achieve government objective of increasing access and penetration of LPG from 25% to 30% to 50%. It's impossible. You know, government in 2019 singled out LPG and set an objective, tasked MPA and the ministry to ensure that in the next 10 years, we double consumption of LPG in Ghana. At that time, our penetration level was about 25%. So cabinet wanted us to double that to 50% by the year 2030. But LPG is a product with it's elastic demand product. It's highly price sensitive. Any peso that you put on the price of LPG goes a long way to reduce its consumption. So one would have expected that we take measures and reduce the price of LPG so the ordinary Ghanaian can use LPG, so we can attract a lot more people into the consumption rate, so we can all help achieve government objectives. But rather, the directly opposite is what we are doing. We keep piling stuff on the product to the extent that now LPG stations across the country are shutting down. Because nobody is buying. Go to the north. In Wa, we used to have 7 LPG stations. Now it's left with 5. In Jirapa, we had 2. It's left with 1. In Boga, we had about 6. It's left with about 4 or 5. All the LPG stations are shutting down. Now LPG is bought in tots. Send your reporters tomorrow morning to the nearest LPG station. Let them go and stand there for 1 hour. And you see that about 50-60% of the people who come to any LPG plant in Accra are not able to fill their cylinders. They buy it in tots like at a drinking bar. Give me 10 cedis. Give me 20 cedis. Give me 30 cedis. Now your average LPG cylinder, the 14.5 kg, has shot over 200 Ghana cedis. How many people in Ghana, the ordinary Ghanaian whose income is 800 cedis, 1,000 cedis, 1,200, you are expecting such a person to use about 20-25% of his income to buy LPG. How is that possible? And now we go around doing regional seminars telling people to use LPG. How do they use the LPG when the price has shot up too high?
So from what you're telling me, realistically, we cannot take away or cannot take off taxes currently under the IMF dispensation.
It's impossible.
So what can we do to drive down the prices? Because clearly that's what a lot of people are looking at.
Yes, and for me, that is why 7 years ago, just Google our position on taxes on LPG. When government set the target in 2019, we immediately identified the problem. That look, we can achieve your objective, but the only obstacle against that, fighting against the achievement of that objective, is the price of the product. LPG is not a luxury product that when you want people to use, you put taxes and levies on it to make it so expensive so that the bourgeoisie can buy. This is a daily product. It's a product for the common man. LPG was introduced to help us save our forests, to to help us save our rivers, to help save our environment. And now look at what we've done to the product.
Well, one of the things that we've also heard clearly is that we are told that the hike is clearly due to international markets, and the only thing that the NPA, for instance, can do is to ensure that the cost of the cylinder recirculation module and the policies do not increase further the prices of LPG. What's your take on that?
No, for international dimension, nobody can do anything about it. We all know that. By your taxes, you yourself, LPG is the product we use to subsidize in Ghana. It was the same government that put taxes. In 2015, it was NDC government that started putting taxes on LPG. And MPP also came and has continued. It's government that put it there, so government can remove it. The cylinder recirculation we are talking about, even the one we are buying in tot, people cannot buy. Your cylinder recirculation is come with a filled cylinder with a predetermined price. You either had over 200 cities to buy it, or you walk away, or you go and buy charcoal. The smaller cylinder is costing over 100 cities now. Go to the north. A family does not see even 100 cities for the whole month. How do you expect them to cough up the 100 cities to buy LPG? We have been very, very, very consistent, but government successive government doesn't pay heed. And yet they go on platforms. We are working to increase consumption. How are you working? Is that how to work to increase consumption of LPG in Ghana? By increasing prices? Those are just propaganda statements that we've heard too much. And we are fed up with this kind of situation.
So until we get those taxes off, there's nothing basically that is going to push people to patronize LPG more.
People are already using charcoal. People are switching to charcoal. A lot of people are switching to charcoal and wood fuel. They can't buy LPG.
And those were the reasons why we actually advocated for the use of LPG.
Yes, we wanted the common man, the ordinary man like you and I, to be able to use LPG so we can save our environment. Government is now spending millions of dollars and cities planting trees. And I can assure you, if we don't turn attention to LPG and ensure that we increase the use of LPG in Ghana, all those trees that we are worrying the eminent people like Otunfuo, the Yana, the Gamanche to go and plant every year, we are just wasting their time.
So basically, we are not showing commitment enough. That's what you're saying.
We are not committed. We are not. We are doing directly opposite what we say we want to do. We are not committed as a country. Successive government, NDC, MPP, have not helped us to increase consumption of LPG.
Wow.
We are not. We are not. No, let nobody deceive you that they are serious at increasing consumption of LPG. No. The action of successive government does not support that argument.
You mentioned a worrying situation of some LPG marketers shutting down their businesses as a result of the hikes and all of that. As players in that sector, exactly what can you do, or what are you doing about that situation?
My brother, what can we do? There is nothing we can do. The cost consumers are not able to buy the thing. This is a business that runs on volumes. We need to sell a certain quantity to be able to break even and stay in business. If you are not selling that quantity, what can you do? You only have to fold up and allow people to just go and use charcoal and firewood and destroy our environment further, and cut the trees that government has spent millions of cities to plant for wood fuel. We need to be serious.
Right.
We need to be serious about LPG in this country.
Right.
Well, when others are subsidizing or even pushing for more subsidies, we are pushing for more taxes and levies and margins. Margins that doesn't make sense to anybody. Thank you,
Gabriel, thank you. And I know that talking about these issues it gets emotional for some of us.
Very emotional, and we are very passionate about this thing.
Mm-hmm.
We are so passionate.
Because there's a cylinder I usually fill for 250 cedis. I went this morning and I had to pay 305 cedis for the same quantity.
Yo. So So if I'm telling lies, you have confirmed it. How many people can get that 300? You might be fortunate that at least you've been able to cough up the 300 cities to buy. How many Ghanaians, even in Accra here, how many people are earning more than 1,000 cities? LPG is now gradually becoming a commodity for the elite. If you're not rich, you can't use LPG in your house.
Well, Gabriel.
And when we are fighting, all that we have our authorities do is to rather adopt certain crude measures to increase consumption, the price of LPG. What is this?
Well, Gabriel,
you're not smarter than anybody.
We'll definitely get more on this in the coming days.
Bye-bye,
But thank you
my
so
brother.
much, my brother. That's Gabriel Kumi, and you can understand his frustration. He's the vice chairman of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana. It still starts today here on Star 103.5 FM. I have some other worrying business stories right after this. Stay.
Star Today. First, fast, and credible.
So, fruit processing factories have bemoaned what they say is the threat posed to the operations by real estate developers. And according to some processors, they are unable to get arable lands to grow fruits to feed their production plants. Here is General Manager of Blue Skies, Janet Lutrot, who reveals some factories are forced to import fruits as estate companies are buying very good land suitable for the growing of fruit trees, hindering expansion of such factories.
Giving us the pineapple that we need. And from what you heard from today, we actually sometimes have to bring pineapple from Benin. And they have two big issues. One issue is obviously inputs and the ease of acquiring inputs. Sometimes you get the money, you are getting fake inputs because there's no regulation. Sometimes you have the money, you can't get the inputs because it's not in the system. And sometimes you have the real estate because where pineapple grows, if you know, we have one just across what's called Pokrum Valley. It's very attractive to the real estate people because it's got the valley, it's got a whole nice landscape. So they have real estate guys, they go to them, they show them money, already they're struggling. So they show them a letter when they say, okay, you can take the land because after all, what's the point? So we are happy of what the Agri Minister said about some of the things that we can tap in as a business trying to help the farmers. We did mention that sometimes we resort to giving the farmers advances because we need them to grow so that we can sustain. So sometimes we give them advances for them to keep cultivating the land. Sometimes we have to actually import inputs for the farmers. But what the minister mentioned was that there is a bigger fund that we are not aware of, that he can actually consult with us to see how we can tap in so that we don't have to go and borrow to give to the farmers, but then we can tap into that source and then help the farmers to grow their fruit. He was very strong that he doesn't want us to bring pineapple from Benin. So we are hoping that we can sit with him very soon.
So Janet Lutrot is general manager for Blue Skies. Now let's do some sports. And Ghana's 100 meters record holder Benjamin Azamati says he was unfazed by the attacks on social media by some Ghanaians after a baton failure in the 4x100 meter relay event on day one of the championship. Team Ghana dropped the baton in the 4x100 meter relay race and finished in a time of 42.70 seconds on the first day of the World Relay Championship in Bahamas. The team, however, overcame the setback at the World Relay Championship on day two, and they won the second race to secure an automatic qualification for the Olympic Games.
Baton dropping is a part of relay. It happens. As to how it dropped, we both couldn't figure it out. We both don't know. I think it was mysterious to both of us. But I spoke to him. JP also spoke to him and asked him to forget about everything. It's normal. It happens. Baton drops each and every time. It's a part of it. It's a part of the technicalities. And so we just had to, regroup, refocus on the next day because we had the Olympic qualification at the back of our heads. I didn't think it affected us psychologically or anything. We know what we were there for. We know what we had come there to do. So it was just about, having to regroup ourselves and going on the next day and then trying to qualify, which we did, and we're happy about. I'm the one who saw most of it because most of it were, about my name or they were talking about me and all that. And I dropped it. It was my fault and everything. I just read it out to the guys. Especially the new guys, that this is what will happen and this is what they have to prepare for because it's a part of the sports. You have people talking and bashing you and all that. And then I just spoke to whatever everybody was saying, whether it was insults, whether it was good thing. I just told them, I read it out to them, and then we were all laughing and everything. But after we told them to, refocus and let's go back there and then just do what we came here to do, and that's to qualify.
Well, meanwhile, Benjamin Azamati has revealed what transpired between him and his colleague Joseph Polamo after handing over the baton that saw them win the 4x100-meter relay to qualify for the Olympic Games. Now, speaking exclusively on the game with Benjamin Yamo and Monica Bukari via Zoom from his base in the United States of America, the Ghanaian sprinter said all that transpired after he handed over the baton to Joseph Polamo was out of excitement.
After I handed him the baton, I was like, let's go, boy. But everything I did afterwards came naturally. I think it was out of excitement to be able to, know that handing of the baton to JP, we're already in the lead and we're going to win. Everything else that I did, having to do the bow and arrow and everything, just came out naturally. And I just did what I did out of excitement.
Yeah, so he did what he did out of excitement. That's Ghanaian sprinter Benjamin Azamati. Now, the WAFU Zone B Secretariat has announced the schedule for the Under-17 Cup of Nations in Accra 2024. The tournament will commence with the Ghana hosting Cote d'Ivoire on May 15 at the University of Ghana Stadium here in Accra. Nigeria, the defending champions, are set to face Burkina Faso on May 16, 2024, while Togo will face Niger on match day 2. The WAFU Zone B Under-17 Cup of Nations is scheduled to take place at the University of Ghana Stadium from May 15 to May 29. Participating teams include reigning champions Nigeria, host nation Ghana, as well as La Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Niger, Togo, and Burkina Faso. What we do know is that the teams are set to compete for the title and a sport in the upcoming Total Energies Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations. And on that spot note, to draw the curtains on Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. This morning is for you at starfm.com.gh. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Grateful for your company this evening. Let's repeat same tomorrow right here on Simply the Best, Starr 103.5 FM. On behalf of the entire Comnot Dumont Newsroom production led by Prince Asian, we say thank you for your company. Do have a wonderful evening. At 6:30, we bring you Focus on Africa from the BBC.